Lil Tjay and a Boogie wit to Hoodie, two of the Bronx's biggest melodic rap stars, once seemed destined to uplift their city side by side. But behind the scenes, tension started brewing. Instead of coming together dropping tracks despite both being from the Bronx, the petty beef led to Lil Tjay being shot in Jersey. Let's get into it. Born on December 6, 1995, in the High Bridge section of the Bronx, artist Julius Dubose, better known by his stage name of Boogie Wit to Hoodie, represents a generation of rappers who blurred the lines between melody and street lyricism. Growing up in an environment where struggle was a common theme, a Boogie used music as both an outlet and a form of survival. He wasn't just surrounded by the rough streets of the Bronx, he was molded by them. His neighborhood, while riddled with poverty and violence, also offered inspiration through the shared resilience and determination of its residents. As a young kid, a Boogie had dreams beyond the borders of his borough, and he channeled those ambitions into early writing and freestyling. Before his professional music journey took flight, a Boogie had dabbled in rap, but hadn't taken it seriously until his late teens. He attended the performance-based prep school in Florida for a short time during high school, where he began honing his rap skills more seriously. However, trouble followed him. He found himself involved in street activity that ultimately led him back to New York. Once back in the Bronx, he decided to leave the street life behind and take music seriously. His passion for creating melodic yet hard-hitting rap was ignited by artists such as 50 Cent, Kanye West, and Lil Wayne. These legends not only influenced his style, but also gave him a blueprint for blending commercial appeal with raw street narratives. His breakout came in 2016 with the release of his debut mixtape, Artist. The project, which included tracks like Still Think About You and My Sheet, was a personal, introspective glimpse into a Boogie's thoughts and experiences. These songs rapidly gained traction on SoundCloud and social media, catapulting him into the limelight. Fans were drawn to his ability to articulate heartbreak, betrayal, and ambition with a melodic tone that made his music memorable. In July 2016, his growing buzz earned him a joint venture deal with Atlantic Records under the umbrella of High Bridge, the label, which he co-founded with his close friend and fellow Bronx rapper Don Q. The partnership allowed him to maintain creative control while having the backing of a major label, an ideal situation for a young artist trying to establish himself. His debut studio album, The Bigger Artist, dropped in 2017 and included the chart-topping single Drowning featuring Kodak Black. The album peaked at number 4 on the Billboard 200 and cemented a Boogie as one of the premier melodic rappers of his era. Over the next few years, his projects, including Hoodie SZN and Artist 2.0, continued to show his evolution in both lyrical depth and vocal range. Despite his fame, he remained tethered to the streets and stories of the Bronx, never letting his success strip away the authenticity that made him beloved in the first place. Tyone Jaden Merritt, professionally known as Lil Tjay, was born on April 30th, 2001, also in the Bronx. Unlike many of his peers, Lil Tjay's life was marked by hardship from an early age. Raised in a single-parent household by his mother, he was the oldest of 3 siblings and often had to step up as a provider and protector. He was known as the problem child in his neighborhood, frequently getting into fights and engaging in petty crimes. At age 15, he was sentenced to a year in a youth detention center for robbery, a period that would ultimately change the course of his life. It was during this incarceration that Lil Tjay began to write music seriously. Pen and paper became his therapy, and he emerged with a clearer vision of who he wanted to become. After his release, Tjay wasted no time. He began recording and uploading his music to SoundCloud, where his first notable track, Resume, began to gain traction in 2017. The song showcased his unique mix of pain-filled storytelling and infectious melodies, a style that quickly resonated with younger audiences who saw him as both relatable and raw. Soon after, the release of Brothers would become his breakout moment. That track amassed millions of streams and led to a bidding war among record labels. In 2018, he signed a deal with Columbia Records, a move that solidified his transition from a neighborhood sensation to a national artist. Influenced by a mix of melodic artists like Drake, Usher, and Meek Mill, Lil Tjay was different from many of his Bronx contemporaries. While he rapped about street life, he also tapped into deeper emotional tones, grief, love, betrayal, that allowed him to connect with a wider audience. His debut album, True to Myself, was released in 2019 and debuted at number 5 on the Billboard 200. It was followed by his 2021 project, Destined to Win, featuring hits like Calling My Phone with Black. Tjay's style was rooted in vulnerability, a contrast to the hyper-masculine, aggressive stylings traditionally associated with New York rap. His willingness to show emotional range helped him carve out a lane of his own. Lil Tjay's popularity soared through collaborations with artists like Polo G, Pop Smoke, and Black, and he became a prominent figure in the new generation of NYC hip-hop. Yet, as his fame grew, so did tensions in the Bronx, especially between him and another melodic Bronx star, a Boogie with the Hoodie. The beef between Lil Tjay and a Boogie with the Hoodie is a complex narrative rooted in geography, ego, and the competitive nature of hip-hop. Both artists come from the Bronx and represent similar melodic styles, which naturally led to comparisons. However, what started as subtle tension escalated into a public feud that captured the attention of fans and media alike. The earliest signs of beef emerged on social media in late 2019 and early 2020. Lil Tjay began referring to himself as the King of New York, a bold claim that didn't sit well with many, including a Boogie, who had long been considered a top-tier artist from the city. In hip-hop, titles like King of New York aren't just boastful, they're symbolic. Claiming such a title implies dominance, leadership, and often invites backlash from others vying for the same crown. Around this time, fans noticed subliminal shots in both artists' lyrics and Instagram posts. A Boogie posted cryptic captions hinting at betrayal and jealousy, while Tjay would respond with his own subtle jabs, fueling speculation. It wasn't long before Don Q, a Boogie's Highbridge label mate, got involved, calling out Tjay directly and accusing him of disloyalty. Things intensified when Tjay allegedly dissed a Boogie during a freestyle and in his music, though neither rapper confirmed the lyrics were directed at each other. Tensions eventually reached a boiling point after a series of confrontations behind the scenes, including rumors of studio run-ins and altercations between their respective crews. It's believed that a power struggle developed not just over music, but over respect, influence, and representation of the Bronx. This wasn't just about rap. It was about who truly represented the heart and sound New York's most storied borough. In June 2022, Lil Tjay was critically injured in a shooting in New Jersey. While no connection to a Boogie or his crew was ever confirmed, the incident sparked renewed attention on Tjay's feuds, with many fans and bloggers revisiting his beefs, including the one with a Boogie. Tjay's near-death experience served as a wake-up call, leading many to reflect on how far competitive rivalries can go in the rap world. Today, the beef seems to have simmered down, with both artists continuing their careers independently. However, the underlying tension between two of the Bronx's most successful artists remains a cautionary tale about how quickly competition can turn into conflict, especially in a city where pride, legacy, and loyalty are everything.